Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Pull up a chair and kick up your feet as you get ready to enjoy some of the industry's most entertaining and actionable Dynasty content on the planet. We're talking veterans, rookies, sleepers, and oh yeah, you know the crew has those dad jokes ready for you. So let's not wait any longer and bring on the host or some combination of Doug, James, and Tyler.
Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour. The trilogy is back in the building. It's Doug, it's James, it's Tyler. No one's on vacation, and we have a very special episode for you today. It is our Hot Takes episode. Sans J. Mike, that man is hard to track down, very busy. It's not going to be the same without him because J. Mike's spiciness will be missed on tonight's episode. But we're going to bring you some hot takes, bold predictions, all the things that you might want to call them here on the Dynasty Happy Hour. But before we do, shout out to our elite sponsor. It's Fantasy Points. You know what? It's redraft season still. I had a redraft league today that went drafted online. I've got my big redraft league coming up next week. So plenty of people still doing redraft. I just ordered a board. I had to replace the poop on top of a trophy from 2 years ago. That I have to give back because the poop was like full of water and it just totally it was in my car.
We've all been there.
It dried out, so I had to replace the poop.
Too much Taco Bell.
And give it to the last place owner last year. So lots of good things going on, but make sure you check out fantasypoints.com. Awesome things going on the website. It's not too late to go and get 10% off a Fantasy Points subscription. Not only is it great before your draft, but it's also excellent during the season. If you need help with waiver wire articles, who to pick up, who to drop, all that support. You can get it on Fantasy Points. Use code DHH22 and get 10% off. 90% of the subscribers made the playoffs the last 2 years. It's a great price. They have an analytic-powered draft tool, DFS optimizer. So, if you play DFS like I do every week, I'm a small stakes guy. I'll be on Underdog this year because I got some money to spend. I'll be on DraftKings as well. That's where I started, and I like their format. But if you play DFS, they've got options for you on there as well. So fantasypoints.com, code DHH22, and get 10% off your subscription. And while you're on your phone, you might be watching this beautiful video. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, where we're going to be coming to you live 9 Eastern on Sundays. Every week, Tyler? Every other week?
Every week. We'll have a little rotation. We got Corey Spatula, a friend of ours.
Yes.
He's going to come on and substitute, kind of be the reliever. We might have a couple of us. But Corey will be on every single even week. So every week it's an even number. He will be on, and then it'll be either two of us, heck, maybe even three of us if we.
You'll
all
have to
really
tune in to
talk.
find out every week.
I
might do a solo pod here and there, which I enjoy doing. So you just never know what you're gonna get. It's like a box of chocolates, as Forrest Gump would say. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that me trying to be cool again?
Before we move on, okay. Number one. Doug, I want to know why you were in possession of the trophy with poop. Number two, apparently we are way too old for this listening crowd.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm sad for you.
I love reviews. I love every review. It doesn't matter if you don't like it or you like it.
The feedback.
100%.
And we love the constructive criticism. So if you have time, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform you're doing.
Whatever the cool kids are using nowadays.
And I loved it because it left me out.
Get this podcast on LimeWire and BearShare while you're at it.
It left me out of the review. So I was laughing. I was enjoying it. And all I could think of was that GIF of Steve Buscemi in the high school with the backwards hat, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like trying to act all cool and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, Doug and James," but we're not for everybody, and that's understandable. But you know what? We just like to have fun and talk football. That's what we do every week.
And James, to answer your question, why I was in possession of the last place trophy was right before midseason, my team was on the borderline. Is it going to compete? Is it not going to compete? And I projected it out and I said, this team is not going to win anything. So I sold off pieces to get draft picks for last year's draft. And I accepted my last place finish. I had I think 8 picks in the first 4 or 5 rounds. I had a lot of picks. I drafted Robert Woods over Cooper Kupp, so that didn't go well. But yeah, so I tried to stack up to make last year my year, and it didn't work out so well. So I'm drafting 6th. My keepers are Justin Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor in that league, however, so pretty good start, I'd say. I draft 6th, so I'm looking to get another elite player there in the 3rd round of this keeper league.
Time to put that poop topper in a brown bag and put it on somebody else.
Light it on fire.
It's going to my boy Dana's team. So Dana was last place. I will gladly give it to him at the draft on Wednesday, the 6th or 7th, whatever.
Did you just say you got Justin Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor?
Those are my 2 keepers. Yep.
I literally just drafted them today in my last home league. That's a 103.
Yeah.
103 Superflex. I got Jonathan Taylor. It's 12 teams.
2 teams.
Right, it's legit. 18 roster spots. It's a Superflex league. I got Jonathan Taylor at the 103. Mm-hmm. Quarterback went on a run. I wound up getting Justin Jefferson and then stacked him up with Kirk Cousins in the 3rd.
All right.
I'll give you a little bit of a history of how I got Jonathan Taylor. I had the 101. I traded for it, I think, and I picked Jonathan Taylor 101 in this keeper league in his rookie year. And I got mocked by some of the people in the league. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's a keeper league, and I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be awesome. So I got mocked. I get the last laugh on that one. The other one, Justin Jefferson, in his rookie year, I spent half my fab, like almost $50 on Justin Jefferson. Also got laughed at, by the way. And I overspent by like $30 over the next manager. But I was sold on Justin Jefferson, and now I have Taylor and Jefferson as my keepers.
Unbeatable.
All right. Now, enough waxing poetic about our teams.
I mean, we don't have to wax. Right? You don't have to wax.
No,
we don't.
So, yeah, I was on vacation this week on Cape Cod. A mixed bag of weather, a lot of rain, some thunder, some lightning, some sun. The sun wore me out after 2 straight days. I got a nice tan. The kids had a great time, blah, blah, blah. What have you guys been up to? Because I have literally not talked to you guys at all in this past week. I've been trying to be disconnected from my phone as much as possible.
A lot of family time. I took my kids to an amusement park yesterday, and I've been working my butt off, watching preseason football. Like that's life in a nutshell.
Tyler, what's new up in Minnesota?
Had a kid's birthday party yesterday, and that was fun. We stayed the night there, and then we went to the Minnesota State Fair, which has been repped by Stefan Diggs as the best state fair in the country ever.
What was the wildest?
Did you see Scott Fish out there? I heard he was out there.
He was out there, I think, Saturday.
Oh, but what was the wildest food that you saw? Like, just blew your mind. Like, I never thought of that type.
There's
of food.
Alligator on a stick. You can get hot dish on a stick. I almost got it. I was weird. So
is it like close. Is it like a kebab style, like a tater tot?
And then it looks like a big ball of tater tot hot dish that they put on a stick, like 3 of them. They put it in batter and then fry it. So it's super healthy, very low-key, so. Health con. Yeah. Well, my favorite part was there is a huge thing of fries. Like all you get is a bucket of fries. But then across the way is like the health conscious part of the park. And it's like,
it's like vegans come here.
Yeah. It was awesome. The only issue is everything I bought my kids wanted to eat. So my bucket of fries went to my daughter. And yeah, I had fried pickles, which was amazing.
Love fried pickles.
They were great.
Very, very good. Awesome. Well, like I said, today is the Hot Takes episode. But before we do that, we are going to get into some news here in a moment. The news is, I don't know about you guys, but I like to be nice and trim and as sleek as I can be in the water. Some people may call it dolphin smooth. And how you're going to get there is you're going to go and check out Manscaped. They are the best in men's grooming. They have the right tools for the job. And what is that job? It's called keeping it tight and keeping it real with skin safe technology. They've got a waterproof, nifty LED lighting to shine a spotlight on your overgrown hedges. It works very well. Not that I shave in the dark, but when you need to get into those nooks and those crannies, you know what I'm saying? It does the job. The Lawnmower 4.0 is a wireless charger. Also comes with the Weed Whack nose and ear trimmer, which is new. They didn't do that before, so there's an extra added incentive to check out Manscaped. You also get the Crop Preserver if you need some deodorant on your danglies, Crop Cleanser if you need to wash those danglies, and Crop Reviver, which is a nice spray. So all the things, if you're looking to get lucky tonight, Manscaped has you on lock. Use code DHH for 20% off at checkout. Manscaped, your balls will thank you for it. All right, let's get into some news. Breaking news here just this evening. Some unfortunate news out of Washington, D.C. So up-and-coming rookie running back Brian Robinson, who reports earlier in the day where pretty much he's all but supplanted Antonio Gibson as the starting running back. Word out of D.C., he's been shot multiple times in a carjacking robbery attempt. The good news is that the notes say that it is not life-threatening. He is in stable condition in the hospital, and the NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reported that his understanding is at least 2 bullets struck Robinson in the lower body. So obviously, prayers up to him and his family. We'll update you as we know more, but obviously there's no real indication yet of how long Robinson will be sidelined. So in the meantime, this opens up the door again for Antonio Gibson. The NFL is a wild, wild place, right? We've got this rookie running back that people probably drafted at the end of their second rounds, maybe early third rounds in their rookie drafts. He's looking like he becomes a starter. His value's going up. He's looking great, and something like this happens. And people that were high on Antonio Gibson, now he's returning kicks, and they don't know what to do with him. But this gives Gibson a chance to kind of like take back the starting job, and it's an unfortunate set of circumstances. But we're here to talk about fantasy football and how that impacts that. So if you happen to roster Antonio Gibson, he might be a starter again for you. But it's going to be a wait-and-see situation. Like I said, we don't know how long Brian Robinson is going to be out for. It could be, a couple of weeks. We're not that far from the start of the season. So I'm not going to speculate. All I know is that it's definitely an unfortunate set of circumstances. And then from a fantasy perspective, a player on the rise is going to have to take a back seat for a little bit because something unfortunate happened to him that he didn't plan on. So, James, what do you think of this Brian Robinson situation in Washington's backfield in his stead? Like I said, we don't know how long he's going to be out for. So,
well, I mean, I think that everybody that held on to Antonio Gibson when all the news shifted towards him just being a punt returner, he was comfortable being a punt returner. I think those people are feeling a little bit better about his fantasy value. But there's still question marks around it because he wasn't comfortable running between the tackles. And that's where Brian Robinson was really struck gold. And that's what made his value rise. Like he supplanted Gibson because of that. He could run through the tackles. They needed someone that could punch it in the goal line. And Gibson has shown year after year that he gets hurt. He has some great games, and now he had a fumbling issue in preseason. I think it's a scary situation altogether. My prayers and condolences out to the Robinson family. But McKissick seems like the only sure thing in this backfield right now. And if anybody, I would want him, I think, on my team. They're going to be behind. They're going to be playing from behind. And we've seen McKissick get a ton of targets in that offense before, and I believe it continues.
Tyler, what do you think?
I actually think they should give Jarrett Patterson a shot. I mean,
I love Jarrett Patterson.
He's dominating the preseason again. He's a very strong runner. He can do everything that Brian Robinson can do. So why not give him an opportunity to see what he can do? Gibson, I mean, I honestly don't think they're going to give him the shot again. They're pretty much saying, hey, you're not our guy. So I wouldn't be shocked if, say Robinson's out for a couple weeks, they give Patterson a shot. So if he's on your waiver wire, I'll check it out. I really like him. I wouldn't be shocked if a team picks him up or they even carry 4 running backs.
I've got him on a couple of taxi squads.
Yeah, they could carry 4 running backs now with this incident and then just figure out who to drop or trade come the week that he's back. They say he got hit in the legs. It looks like it didn't get any arteries or anything, thank God. But it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes him to come back. I've never been shot, so I have no idea what the recovery speed is. But say it goes clear through, I would say 3 or 4. That's kind of what I would expect. Yeah,
that's optimistic. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been shot. I know Shane Manila has been stabbed, is what he told us.
I think he did tell us.
I mean, not to get too far off topic, but it all depends on what happened. What, like you said, it could have just grazed him. We don't know the specifics. As we get more information, we'll be able to actually have doctors out there, foreseeing the length. I don't want to speculate too much.
Yeah, I think we'll probably
I like
get some more
your
information
early assessment of the 4 weeks. It sounds optimistic.
All right, let's move on to another running back situation. The 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell, who's been battling a hamstring all preseason, returned to practice on Sunday. He's well ahead of the regular season. Looks like a clean bill of health. He missed all 3 season games. Here's the thing. In his stead, nobody in San Francisco did anything to impress anyone. Let's be completely honest here.
But Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon.
Yes,
I watched him get
Sermon
drafted
thinks.
today.
They're trying to get his. They're pumping up his tires to try to trade him.
Doug, who's worse? Zach Moss truthers saying they're pumping him back up, or the Trey Sermon people pumping him up? You want to know what? You want to know what? They're the same people.
It's not true.
Yeah, Tyrion Davis-Price didn't do anything to impress. Jeff Wilson is a solid NFL player, and I think he could be a thorn in the side if Elijah Mitchell gets dinged up. The thing about Elijah Mitchell reminds me a lot of Lamar Miller when he was in the league. It seemed like he gets dinged up every few series. He misses a series, then he comes back, which happens to some of these running backs, and it's frustrating. I like Elijah Mitchell's talent. I think the San Francisco 49ers like him quite a bit too. So it's good to see him get back right ahead of the season. And hopefully Elijah Mitchell can slot into your lineups as a solid RB2 going forward. And we all know that, now that they don't have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, it's going to be interesting to see how many rush attempts these running backs get with Trey Lance. He averaged, I think, almost 10 rushes a game in the 3 starts that he had last year. So they might use Samuel still out of the backfield. I'm pretty sure they will. They could even use Ayuk out of the backfield. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe they reduce. I remember Elijah Mitchell having a couple 20 carry games last year. And I don't know if he can stand up to that over, a 4 to 5 week stretch. And I think that they'll mix it up because Shanahan's a pretty smart OC. So I can see San Francisco going in a bunch of different directions there. All right, let's get into our last piece of news here. Pro Football Talks' Mike Florio reports rumors are making the rounds that Raiders tight end Darren Waller will be hiring Drew Rosenhaus as his new agent, who we all love. Darren Waller is 29 years old. He left Clutch Sports Agency last week. Hiring Rosenhaus made jumpstart extension talks between the Raiders and Waller, who's underpaid. His base salary is of $6.2 million the next 2 seasons. That's nothing compared to what we saw David Njoku get this offseason, what the franchise tag is. Jets tight end CJ Uzomah and Seattle's Will Disley landed higher salary deals than Waller this season. Yeah. Waller
just shows that Seattle has no idea what they're doing. I'm sorry.
I saw him sign for $8 million and I was like, huh? Waller's injury shortened 2021 and lack of practice reps this preseason have been holding up getting a new deal done. Or is he not holding up a deal, but is he holding out for a deal? Yes. I'm off of Darren Waller. Not completely. I've rostered him on a couple of leagues. Tyler and I actually traded away Darren Waller because we have Kyle Pitts in the league as well as Dawson Knox. And we got Terry McLaurin and Chase Edmonds for Darren Waller. And I love that move. Darren Waller, the thing that I'm afraid of with Darren Waller is he's that late bloomer, which is great. We know he's hyper athletic.
James.
But the last couple of years, Darren Waller has been getting nicked and dinged up. Now they bring in Devontae Adams, who's one of the biggest target hogs in the league. Hunter Renfrow is going to get his.
Oh, he's going to eat.
Darren Waller to me is a bit risky, especially in Dynasty. I know tight ends can play until the early 30s, but guys like him and George Kittle, I'm just kind of off. They're injury prone, but when they play, they'll get you points, but it's the consistency. That's the part that kills me with both Waller and Kittle. So Tyler, what do you think about this Darren Waller situation, and why is Foster Moreau going to be the starting tight end next year?
That's honestly, you took it. Just go get Foster Moreau. They're already talking about using 2 tight end sets. James and I were talking about it last week and how they could use those 2 tight end sets they did in New England. They could use Waller as the Aaron Hernandez style, and then Moreau, who wears 87, can play the Gronk role.
Looks like Gronk.
Yeah, plays a little, not as crazy, not as
he's
angry.
Not as good of a he's not a complete tight end.
Looks like
he's
Gronk because he plays the tight end position. Maybe
he's built like him though too. He's built.
He is a very good blocker though, because back at it was LSU, right? He wore, I think it's number 17 or something like that. It was a specific number LSU has for a leader and an all around great player, and he was awarded that. And he's super talented. He should be a starter. I think he's better than David Njoku. He's better than a lot of players. He just doesn't have the opportunity because he's buried. I don't know why he was a 4th round pick, but Boston Rose should be the talk. And if you're not trying to sell Waller when he starts playing, you should probably try to do that because, I mean, his value will be on the downswing.
Yeah, James, any thoughts on the Darren Waller situation there in Las Vegas?
It's hard to say. I mean, he hasn't been there. I hope he gets on the field at some point and shows his value, and maybe he will get paid. But I think the Raiders are stalling. I really do. I think that they're done. They have a new regime coming in. Waller wasn't part of that team when they didn't. It's not like they went out and got him. They're not.
They're not committed. They're not committed to Josh Jacobs. They might not be committed to Darren Waller.
A lot of people on this team, and we see this team already transforming into a Patriot style offense. I mean, they would be smart. They would be smart to I think, pay him, Waller. I think they would be smart to pay him. I think he would be a great asset if they're going to go try to win a Super Bowl. But for fantasy, it kind of, I don't know. It's tough.
Just get Renfro. That's the move. That's the Raiders move. Don't go Adams. He's overpriced. Yeah. Renfro's the guy you want in that offense.
Or get my hot take that I am mentioning.
Yeah, people are off on Renfro, so I like that take, Tyler. All right, speaking of hot takes, we're going to get there in just a moment. But before we do, it's time to talk about Trophy Smack, the best company in the game when it comes to trophies, belts, whether it's football, hockey, basketball, baseball, soccer. Everything is completely customizable. They had some awesome Scott Fishbowl belts out there. They do awesome work at Trophy Smack. They have the right trophy for you no matter what you want. Use code DHHRING. Get a free $60 championship ring with the purchase of a trophy or a belt. They also have stuff for the losers of the league. So like what we were talking about earlier, if you need like, a trophy with a toilet on it or a poop on it.
A gold toilet seat now.
Yeah, a gold toilet. You can get just everything. So, check it out. Some of the stuff on there will absolutely blow your mind, and you can take your league to the next level with Trophy Smack and use code DHHRING when you do that and get that free chance where it's at, boy. All right, it is time for Hot Takes. This is one of my favorite episodes of the year, mostly because of J-Mike. So it's going to be still one of my favorites, but it's a little... I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad that J-Mike's not with us here on this episode because I love that deep, bassy, Barry White voice just telling me all the cool plays.
I'm going to kick it up a notch. Here we go.
Yeah, the spice. I love it. So, who wants to kick us off here? We have any volunteers?
I'll do it.
Oh, Tyler. He audibly said he'd do it. We'll go Tyler, James, me. How's that?
Now,
sounds good to me.
I've been thinking of hot takes all day, all weekend. I've been really busy, so I actually didn't get a chance to write them down, but I've been mentally writing them down in a couple of them. Now, I've said this before on the podcast, but it's still a hot take. My hot take is the 2022 quarterback class ends up better than the 2021 quarterback class. So you're talking Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and there's one more. Oh, Zach Wilson, of course.
Yeah, that's not hard.
Yeah. I am saying Pickett. You're going to have Sam Howell in this group.
Love Howell.
You're going to have Desmond Ridder. And then who's the other one? Malik. Those four are going to be better than the group. I think Trey Lance becomes a top 10 fantasy quarterback, but these four will end up in the top 18, I'll say, for Dynasty in a couple years. This is like a 2-year thing. I don't think Malik will start unless of an injury, but that's my hot take. I think this class is going to surprise people. People faded it. You know me, all offseason, I'm sitting here, I'm like, why are we fading quarterbacks? We do this every year, and everybody did it. James, he stuck to his guns with Ridder, who looks awesome. Malik looks electric. Kenny Pickett, once again, looks ready. He looks good. He looks like he's ready. Trubisky played pretty well today, but we all know who he is. I think Pickett starts sooner than later. And man,
Sam Howell's been surprising to me. I liked him coming out of North Carolina, but what he's put together in the preseason, his legs, which were always underrated. Sam Howell, he was my classic, third round of a super flex. Take a flyer on a QB. Last year, I did it with
Davis Mills.
It didn't work well.
He's terrible. Mond is terrible.
but Sam Howell, I'll take it.
There's a video surfaced of a Snapchat filter, and they have Carson Wentz, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, and they showed video of Howell throwing the ball and stuff. And then the Carson Wentz guy was like, "Yeah, good throw." for a backup, right? And then everybody's like, oh, Terry McLaurin. He's like, oh, he's 21, right? He's the future. And then Carson Wentz, his guy's like, yeah, future backup, right? It's a great video, but it's true. I mean, he is the future.
I heard some rumors today.
Ooh, do tell.
I heard some rumors today that he should be out there sooner rather than later. Sam Howell.
Good. I think if Wentz, give him 6 or 7 weeks, and if they're 2-5,
which they should be,
why not?
Howell.
I mean, if Chase Young can't come back this year, like if that injury ends up being a longer term injury, why not just hand the keys over to Howell and see what you got? Like I like that move quite a bit.
I like where you were going with that, Tyler. I mean, a lot of people were on all the quarterbacks last year,
all of them,
off of every single one of them this year, and it's going to come back and bite some people. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, Matt Corral is gone already. I mean, you have to throw that in there as well.
I'm not including him.
Oh,
nope.
Okay.
I wasn't a
free pass.
I wasn't a fan. Him and Zach Wilson are even. So those
it's a scratch. It's a healthy scratch.
They cancel each other out.
Or a non-healthy scratch.
Yeah.
They're both injured right now.
Yep.
Oh, something like that. But that's a good way to start out the hot takes. A little bit of flame, little spark. I'm gonna pick up where I left off last week. My comeback player of the year was Saquon Barkley. And I am saying Saquon Barkley, RB1 overall this year. New offense, stronger offensive line. They have some targets, but no one as a true alpha. So I believe Saquon is the focal point of that offense. He's back to his rookie form. He's going to take over this team. He's going to be the highlight. I love it. And if he gets anywhere near the amount of work that the Buffalo Bills backfield together got last year, the sky is the limit. Only one he has to really take over is Jonathan Taylor, respectively, of course. But Taylor also has Matt Ryan as quarterback to take away some of the rushing attempts that everybody thinks he's going.
And I think they involve Naheem Hines more this year, too.
I was going to say, you think Matt Ryan's going to take away rushing attempts? I'm really confused.
I mean, with his arm, of course.
Yeah,
that's how you take away rushing attempts.
I thought you meant
he was going to run. Matt Ryan was just going to run down Daniel Jones down the field. No.
You know what, James? It's interesting because I was in that redraft league today, and it's a 10-team league? 12-team league, and I kept Najee Harris over Dalvin Cook just because it's a keeper league. So I was like, you know what? I'll keep Najee. Cook ended up going second overall, and I took DeAndre Swift with my first pick, which was 7th overall, and I thought about Barkley in that spot. I really thought long and hard, and I went with my boy Swift. And then I was hoping Barkley would make it back to me in the next round, and he got picked a few picks in front of me. So I was kind of licking my chops, like maybe people are off on Barkley. There's no Giants fans in this league. Like, if I could have started with Harris, Swift, and Barkley, I got Kyle Pitts, Tyler. You'd be happy. In the 3rd round.
Did you have to trade like 4 picks for him?
No. I just it was just a redraft league, one keeper.
I just got Barkley today, and I know I mentioned Kirk Cousins earlier. Kirk was my 4th pick. Barkley was my 3rd. So Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson,
redraft
and Saquon Barkley.
So.
You know, James, that is a great segue because my first hot take is about Kirk Cousins.
Oh,
it is that Kirk Cousins is going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback in 2022.
You like that?
You like that?
I like that.
Here's the thing. We've seen non-rushing quarterbacks finish in the top 5, like Tom Brady. We've seen Aaron Rodgers do it. Kirk Cousins is like fringe QB1 every single year. He's very consistent. You know, looks like an insurance salesman, but plays like a QB1 every single year. And with Kevin O'Connell coming over and coaching this team and bringing over some of that Rams offense, which I will talk about later, with having Kevin O'Connell there, them, lining Dalvin Cook out of the slot, they've got Irv Smith, who should be back for week 1, who they didn't utilize last year, and Tyler Conklin did a nice job in his stead. They've got a lot of great pass catchers out of the backfield, not only Alexander Madison, but they've got the Ty Chandler, the new kid on the block, who's looked really good this preseason. Heck, they even got Guano, not Bat Poop. He's like their RB4, and he's explosive as hell.
He's fast.
The Minnesota Vikings have a lot of weapons. Obviously, they have, in my opinion, the best receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen is going to be due for a huge year, I think. So in Dynasty, he's my number 1 veteran guy. If you need a starter to put you over the top, he ain't going to cost you a lot, but Adam Thielen is going to ball out this year. So I think Kirk Cousins is just set up for success. The offensive line is decent. It's not the best. It's not the worst. Somewhere in the middle. It's always been their problem these last few years. But Kirk Cousins is smart. He gets the ball away quickly. He doesn't take a lot of sacks. He doesn't throw a lot of picks either. Like, he's usually single-digit picks every year, but he takes enough shots downfield. He's super accurate. I just don't think Kirk Cousins gets a lot of love. So I think he could finish as a top 5. I think a 40 touchdown season out of Kirk Cousins is not out of the question with like 4,500 to 5,000 yards in these 17-week seasons, because their defense isn't great, right, Tyler? They should be playing from behind. I know the division's not great, but the Lions are better. The Packers will be competitive. The Bears, obviously not. But I just think Kirk Cousins is due for a monster year, and he's going to finish top 5 in 20.
I like that. I mean, Kurt is one of the most. He's the most underrated player in the NFL in my eyes. People love to hate him for no reason. All he does is produce stats.
Washington should have never let him go.
Yeah. So I think Kirk's going to have a big year. I'm happy Minnesota kept him.
I agree with all the offensive things, and I'll piggyback off of that and say that the defense was downgraded a little bit this year, and I think that the offense,
a lot of young
they're going to have to
defense.
throw a lot more to keep up with the NFC North.
Yep, and all the other the NFC West. Yeah,
and I mean everybody else. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All the other teams are playing this year.
Tyler, let's go back to you. Give me something a little spicier. That first one was good.
I saved it. James Cook, top 12 running back in Dynasty next year.
Okay. All right. We've seen rookies go from, RB 30 to RB 5 in 1 year.
Now, I see people, saying Breece Hall is going to be the best running back. Ken Walker. I think James Cook far and away is the best running back in this class for this season. I think stats wise, it's going to happen. He looked explosive in the preseason. Singletary looks great too. Zach Moss, I'm not worried about. Sorry, James. But you know what? I'm not worried. I know who he is.
It's okay.
James Cook, I think they were trying to get his feet wet in the preseason. He had a couple big runs and they're like, okay, that's it. We don't need you. I don't think they showed their hand with the passing game either. They had him split out wide a bunch, but they never really threw it to him. I don't think they're showing us their hand with what they want to do with him. And I think I would not be shocked if he catches 60 to 80 balls.
That'd be amazing.
And I honestly, if he doesn't gain a yard on the ground, that's fine. As long as he's catching that many balls and it's like 800 yards, but he's going to get rushes because he's explosive and he can take one to the house.
My Scott Fishbowl team is smiling. That's all I know.
I love James Cook. You guys all know that. This is no shock to you, but we see a lot of moving pieces in dynasty rankings, and I think James Cook is going to be the one that pops up very high.
I like that take. I like that. Follow the offense, right? Like that's why everyone's loving a player that I'm going to talk about later. But I might have a differentiating opinion on that player, so it'll be interesting. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
I'll
James.
segue and use that because I do have a Buffalo Bills take, and hopefully it's not the same as Doug's. I don't know. I didn't.
It probably is. I have a feeling. If it's anything it's Gabe Davis related. So
no, mine's in the show sheet. I do not have any Bills related takes.
It's Gabe Davis. It's a little bit of Gabe Davis, and more so about both Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. I believe they are both going to be. See, even the iPad knows that Diggs is a wide receiver for the Bills. I'm sorry about that. Both finish as a wide receiver 1 this year.
Wow.
Top 12. We saw it last year in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams were both top 12 wide receivers. I think Gabe Davis goes from wide receiver 58, where he ended last year, to the top. His dynasty value skyrockets even more than we actually
like
thought.
24 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to keep climbing, I believe. He is a bigger wide receiver that will stay on the field no matter what. I think it happens. He could stretch the field. It's on and popping in Buffalo, man. If they don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, we're going to ask why.
Yeah, I mean, you got Diggs scoring points, Davis scoring points, James Cook scoring points. My man Dawson Knox is like, what about me, dude?
He'll get his. I think Singletary is going to be a fine running back, and Zach Moss is going to be
I had someone draft Isaiah McKenzie.
He's going to be the goal line back. You could say that. He's going to be the goal
today in a league. It's a Western New York league, so there are Bills fans there. Someone took Isaiah McKenzie in the 5th round, and I was like,
"What?
Thanks for the value for my next pick."
I like Isaiah McKenzie. He's a fine player, but A, he can't stay healthy, and B, he's the 4th pass catcher on that pass catching option.
They picked up Jamison Crowder for a reason.
No, for $2 million. No, Crowder's not an issue.
Well, I mean,
all right, guys.
Crowder is an issue for McKenzie. That's for
all right, guys. I'm getting a little spicier here on this one. As you know, if you tune in, I'm known for my tight end analysis and not necessarily my tight end takes, but this one is a guy that I've been on since day one. He now has a massive opportunity. He sneakily caught over 60 balls last year. Didn't score a touchdown, so people, the fantasy points weren't a ton. But Allen Robinson leaves town. It's Darnell Mooney, a bunch of God knows who's, the running backs, who I like, Montgomery and Herbert, both talented. But Cole Kmet, my hot take is that Cole Kmet, the one and only, they call him the natural in the coach's room because he's so damn good. He leads all tight ends in receptions with over 100 receptions in his year 3 breakout. He's gonna year 3 breakout like Antonio Gates did. He's gonna go over 100 yards, over 100 receptions, over 1,000 yards. Now I don't know about the touchdowns because I don't know what that offense is going to do, but he should be able to get you 5 or 6 touchdowns on that offense. But Cole Kmet should be absolutely peppered with targets. Him and Mooney could easily average 8 to 12 targets a game in that offense because honestly, they don't have much else. I mean, Velus Jones, I like. He's been dinged up here and there. He showed some speed on that kickoff return. He perked me up a little bit because him and Tyquan Thornton were my late rookie receivers that I was picking everywhere, and Danny Gray. But Cole Kmet leading the NFL in tight end receptions in 2020. Put that in your pipe and smoke that hot one.
That's
I
spicy.
like it. I like it.
I like it. So
yeah, big Kmet fan.
That's a good thing you brought up tight ends because I'm going to go that route too.
Oh no, take my.
I am going to say Pat Freiermuth is a top 7 dynasty tight end. No, let's go top 6.
Isn't he already a top 7 dynasty tight end?
I don't think so. I think he's like 9 or 10.
Freiermuth?
Yeah. I thought this was a hot take episode, not a mild.
He's tight end 9.
He's tight end 9.
Want him to move up 4 spots? Let's
go over it. It's
real
Pitts. I think Kelsey stays. Kittle,
Andrews.
There's 4. Goddard. There's
Hockenson,
5.
Is he slipping?
Waller is at 5 right now. TJ Hockenson is 6.
I think I'd say
Schultz,
I'll say top 6.
Goddard are in front of Fryer.
I'll say top 6 because I've got 5 I still like, but Freiermuth top 6. We've seen this preseason. He's getting targeted. He's in the middle of the field. Deontay has been hurt twice, hip and shoulder.
He gets dinged up much like Lamar Miller. We talked about earlier.
Yeah. So, with the other rookie playing very good on the outside, Pat Freiermuth is going to get his in the middle. These quarterbacks that are playing, especially Kenny Pickett, is playing with confidence and accuracy in the middle of the field. He's going to love having that safety blanket, Pat Freiermuth. I see his value jump. I think he could be around 70 catches, 60, 70 catches, 800, 900 yards, and like 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's an animal in the red zone.
Yeah. So for me, Pat Freiermuth is going to be a huge, huge riser, and I could see him jumping top 6.
Okay.
I like
top
it.
6. I like that. I don't have anything against it, but it's hot takes. Okay. We have to reach further.
That was a mild one.
Than 4 spots, Tyler. And I will do this for you. You see this jersey up? You see the 88? Evan Engram.
Engram. Are you gonna? Oh my God!
All right,
he's hurt you too much, James. He's hurt you too much.
He's hurt me a lot.
Is he going to average more than 5 yards per reception? That's all I need to know.
6 drops all year.
That's... Okay. yeah. That's the hot take.
That's hot as shit.
No. You want to know? He's going to finish as a top 5 tight end this year. He's going to raise in value to at least the top 12 dynasty tight ends. You know why? Because he's in a Doug Peterson offense with a young quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who will need a safety valve. All right. He will be that safety valve. All right. He's a big target in the middle of the field. Yes, he had some catching problems, or was it the quarterback? You know, he played with Daniel Jones for a lot, and we know how rushed Daniel Jones was. And if we look a little bit deeper, a 3-year average of Doug Peterson in Philadelphia, the last 3 years he was there, they averaged 186 targets to the tight end position.
Dan Arnold.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not saying he's going to get all of them, but if he did, at his average catch percentage of
50%,
63%, smart ass. It's actually 63.9
far off,
since
which is very
2015.
sad.
That's his whole average. Okay. That's 117 receptions. All right. That's going to equate to over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, 275 fantasy points if we were to hit that mark, which is great. Thank you. Extrapolate.
You're welcome.
With this extrapolation, that would have put him at tight end 2 last year. And we'd be like, oh, Evan Engram
this is a
crazy.
Hot take that's going to bite me in the butt, and I'm going to have that Taco
you know what?
Bell.
It's hot enough to where you say, James, you're flipping crazy. And I get that. I am crazy. But it's not crazy to think that this could actually freaking happen.
Interesting.
Smoke that.
I have a Evan Engram on a roster or two, so I'm down for it if it happens. It'd be a bit of a surprise, but you know what? It's a hot take, so I like
you said hot takes, and I went back and I listened to J Mike, and he had some killer ones. He listed Joe Mixon, RB1, and I'm like, I'm not going to get close enough to that, so I got to reach for the stars. And Ingram's not really a star, but hey, why not?
Maybe he becomes one this year.
Maybe he's one of the stars.
Maybe he's reincarnated.
The star that blew up.
A supernova.
His rookie year, he's a supernova, and then just
he's just a super loser.
All right. Speaking of rookie years, I've got a rookie hot take for you, and it's about the Kansas City Chiefs' newest rookie running back, Isaiah Pacheco, who is flying up redraft boards. Dynasty value is going through the roof. A guy you could have gotten the 4th round, sometimes later.
I just paid a second.
Drafts. Yeah. So, he was the fastest running back at the combine. His tape out of Rutgers isn't bad. But of course, we're doing the same thing that we did with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And it's like, oh, they have a young running back that's talented. He's on the Chiefs, so he's got to be crazy valuable. And we haven't really seen, the most valuable Chiefs running back in the last handful of years has been Damian Williams. So that's all I'm saying. My hot take is Isaiah Pacheco finishes outside the top 40 at the running back position in his rookie. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they spent the 1st round capital on him. There was he had his abdomen removed last year, lost a bunch of weight, couldn't get his feet on the ground. I'm not a huge Helaire guy, but I think he's going to be the guy for them. I think Ronald Jones makes this team now that you've got guys like Derek Gore are on the IR. My sneaky play in this backfield is actually Jerick McKinnon, because they trust Jerick McKinnon. They used him a lot in the playoffs. I think Pacheco, there was a run that he had in the preseason where he ran it up the middle. He got the ball, and instead of seeing this wide open lane in his peripheral to the right, which he should have.
Travis Etienne or Pacheco?
Pacheco. So Pacheco had this big hole to his right and didn't see it. It's kind of, and the flip side of this is we saw Jonathan Taylor in his rookie year make mistakes like that early on. So maybe it's a learning thing. But Pacheco's vision at Rutgers wasn't great. He's a speed-based running back. I just think that Helaire, McKinnon, and I think Rojo makes the team. And I think Pacheco is that classic running back in an offense that we all want to see do well, but doesn't have the draft capital, doesn't have the talent like James Cook does, or the draft capital like James Cook does, to make an impact in his rookie year. So I think the people that are reaching for Pacheco, James, you said he's paid a second for him. You obviously believe in him. So I'm waiting for your counter argument here. Yeah. And in redraft, he's flying up the boards. I actually drafted him today, but I got him in the 15th round. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a dart throw on a guy. Maybe he's something, maybe he's not. I just think I lean more towards he's not, especially in Dynasty. It's someone that if I rostered him anywhere, I'd be trying to sell, because I just don't see the upside of him being an every week RB2 or the upside on top of that. Hey, before we get to Tyler's next hot take, let's take a minute to talk about Underdog Fantasy. We talked about DFS earlier. I like to say I play with DraftKings, which I do, but Underdog, I'm looking to do them right now. Up and coming, one of the best new mobile apps in the game. So go download the Underdog app right now. You can do it on Apple iTunes. You can do it in the Google Play Store. When you use code DHH, you have your deposit up to $100 matched right away. So if you put in $100, they'll match it. Now you got $200. It's free money for something you're going to play anyways. You can play small stakes. You can play large stakes. They have $1 million contests right now with $1 million winnings, which is more than some of your fantasy football players are going to make in a year, like Isaiah Pacheco. He's not making $1 million, but you could by going on Underdog. So get some free money for yourself. There's a rookies and sophomores drafts. If you like to play MLB, cool. I'm not old. NFL best balls, over-under predictions, which I can't wait for. Don't miss out on this deal. Once again, code DHH for your deposit up to $100, including Best Ball Mania 3, $10 million prize pool, $2 million to the winner. Absolutely awesome. James, talk to me about Pacheco before we move to Tyler's hot take about $1.
No one knew anything about James Robinson when James Robinson. All right. This is an opportunity to take a shot at a low drafted player. And if I think he looked somewhat good before the combine, I think he's progressing with the offense. He's out there with Patrick Mahomes. He could play in this offense. Rojo is very much on the bubble, especially this past week with fumbling issues and bull crap everywhere. I think he has a chance to make this roster and succeed during the season enough to build dynasty value throughout this season. All right.
Fair enough.
Tyler.
Yeah, my next hot take, I'm going to hit the receiver core. Now, there's a lot of rookie receivers we're talking about right now. You know, you got Pickens and Pittsburgh playing well. And for me, I think Wandale Robinson, Wandale, is going to be the best statistical wide receiver in 2022. And for me, it's just based off targets. I've seen videos of Kenny Golladay he does not care. He is trash.
He's going to retire after his contract.
He looks like he just does not care. He does not want to be there. He's not putting in the reps. I mean, it's not going to be Darius Slayton. Kadarius Toney can't stay healthy. Wandale Robinson in the slot is going to get peppered.
Sterling Shepard activated.
He did get activated, yes, but for how long? And it's an Achilles injury. And I mean, we've seen it with running backs, but wide receivers, it's a little more common for them to come back. But this soon, I don't think so. I think Wandale Robinson's going to be their weapon. We barely saw him this preseason. And I think that's telling, as in we are not letting this guy go down because he's going to be a huge part of this offense. They're going to use him with carries. And we are going to be sitting there wondering, why can't Cliff Kingsbury figure out Rondale Moore like this? That's going to be a huge thing.
Because Kingsbury's the fake genius, as I call him.
100%. And for me, Wandale Robinson is going to be one of those guys that if you got him in the mid to late second, you're going to be cheering because he's going to be worth a lot more next year.
I certainly hope so. Speaking of that redraft league today, I took Wandale as one of my last picks because I was looking for upside, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, Wandale, let's go. I took him, so I'm looking for that all day long. James, let's get to that next spice.
Oh, it's spicy. And you guys might agree with me, and I hope you guys do. Tyler makes it his job to disagree with me for most of my takes.
Fair.
Jared Goff, Dynasty QB 33.
Stupid.
Dumb.
Stupid.
At least he will cut his value in half or double it, like I like to say, and be at least QB 15 by the end of 2022. All right. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a healthy TJ Hawkinson, a healthy DeAndre Swift, Jameson Williams, when he gets healthy, great pick in the draft. Not to mention the offensive line.
TJ Chark too.
Oh yeah, Chark was on my list there.
He looks good. He's looked good.
2 of the top 30 guards in the NFL play on the Detroit Lions. This offense is going to shock people. I believe we talked about it last week, Tyler. I have a feeling that Jared Goff's value is going to skyrocket. And with this hot take, I want to buy now and watch it grow. People's heads are going to turn. They are playing some good offenses that they are going to need to compete with high scoring. I think it happens. Put it down now. Jared Goff, QB 15 in Dynasty by the end of 2022.
Yeah, I've been talking about Goff all summer. So when you look at like the ADPs of guys like Amon-Ra, DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, and Jameson Williams, and you're like, what? Okay, there's a quarterback throwing them the ball. If everyone's so high on these ancillary pieces, why are we not higher on Jared Goff? QB 33 is ridiculous. Like that's one of the, I think that's a blind spot in the dynasty community. Jared Goff is still only 27 years old. He has a history of, he has an almost 40 touchdown season with the Rams. Like he's a solid, he's not going to turn the ball over a ton, and he's going to play well. And I think you laid it out perfectly. I am so in on Jared Goff in dynasty. I've been able to steal him in a couple spots.
So we all love Dolphins, just like we love the Lions offensive positional players, but yet Tua's sitting there at 15, 14 in dynasty rankings. Yeah. What's the difference between Goff and Tua?
At least Jared Goff has shown that he can do it.
Yeah. And honestly, they probably got Goff might actually have a little more arm strength to him. Yes. But I mean, there's honestly, I'm thinking about it now. There's no difference except Detroit has a better offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that one quite a bit. And speaking of Jared Goff's old team, here's one for you. I think the whole Rams offense is drastically going to underperform their current 80. I think Matt Stafford is overrated in dynasty. He's got the elbow thing going on, which could be an issue. Anything with an elbow and a quarterback, shoulders, I can deal with that. Elbow is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
It can sap your downfield potential. I think Cooper Kupp, as he's the wide receiver 3 in dynasty. I think that everyone is they're thinking that he's going to do that historic season again. No, he's not. And he's not going to perform as a top 3 wide receiver this season. Allen Robinson, we've seen his ADP go up quite a bit in dynasty now that he's with the Rams. I like Allen Robinson as a player. But I have some concerns, especially if Stafford's arm is not where we want it to be. Cam Akers coming off the Achilles. Now there's talks of Akers, Henderson, and James's guy, Kyron Williams, them not playing him because he's going to be an integral part of the offense. This is a problem for the Rams. And not to mention their offensive line. Andrew Whitworth retired. Their starting guard that they drafted with their first pick in the draft, which was probably in the 8th round because they don't have draft picks. But still, he was lined up to start for them. Their offensive line is a problem. So I like Cam Akers as a player. Coming off the Achilles, I'm not as hot as I once was on him. And now that we might see this 3-headed monster, if Stafford's taking sacks, it's not good for the passing game. It's not good for Kupp. It's not good for Robinson. It's not good for even Van Jefferson and whoever else. And Tyler Higbee, I don't even want to talk about him because whatever. But I think this Rams offense it had such a good year last year. They won the Super Bowl. There's a lot of recency bias with this team. And I can see every single one of those pieces not living up to their ADP. And by this time next year, you're going to be like what happened with the Rams offense? We see it almost every year. A Super Bowl champion, 90% of the time doesn't even make the playoffs the next year. I'm concerned with the Rams and their defense too. Their defense should be good on paper, but they've got so many guys with these massive contracts with Donald and Ramsey that their depth is thin. So the Rams, to me, I'm kind of out on them in dynasty right now.
I love that take because I feel the same way.
So maybe it's not that hot. I thought it was. People love the Rams players. So
I agree. I agree with it, especially with the backfield.
Yeah.
People are not looking at that offensive line. They're just like, oh, everything's hunky. No, that offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of recency bias. A lot.
Tyler, we're back to you, buddy.
I got one more, and I'm going to make it quick. I was thinking about this after his big game last night. What if Justin Fields, with all the, smothering people are doing to him, top 5 quarterback, guy runs.
This happens every year.
He's a Konami code quarterback. He looks like he's throwing the ball better with accuracy. And I mean, with your take with Cole Kmet, why not? Somebody's got to pop up other than Mooney in this offense. I wouldn't be shocked if it's some unknown guy.
Dante Pettis.
Yeah, jeez, wouldn't that be?
I'll live
funny?
like it's 2019, and I'll be happy as a clam.
Where's Dante Moncrief when you need him?
Get him in there.
Get him in there. But yeah, I mean, like Doug said, we do this all the time. All he needs to do is run some touchdowns in, run a little more. It looks like they're doing that. They're moving them around, which is what we all wanted. Yeah, this offensive line may not be great, but we've seen offensive lines gel once they finally get that right lineup set. And then all of a sudden, just like, boom, there it is. This offensive line is gelled. Fields has the talent to be a top 5 quarterback. And honestly, everybody's lowering his value because they just don't like what the Bears have done. But what if he is actually a really good player and he's just a top 5 quarterback because he produces? What if he's the guy that, and I mean, I'm going to steal this from Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah. What if he's the truck? I mean, truck quarterbacks are the ones that pull the trailers. They're not the people that need things around them. What if he's the truck that can pull a team instead of being the trailer where he needs to have players around him to pull him, like an Andy Dalton? That, I don't think that's the case. I think he's a very good player, and I could see him just rising way up. I mean, he's quarterback 12 or 13 right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, and I like this, Tyler, because, you know, when Lamar Jackson took over for the Ravens, who did he have? Who was his wide receivers? Nobody. All right. Marquise Brown was what?
Smith.
Steve Smith as a veteran. Hollywood Brown was a rookie, I believe. And Mark Andrews was a nobody. All right. So, and MVP. Just saying, like, it can happen. He's going to, if he is that truck, which you just drew for us, that was a great picture. I loved it.
I mean, that's Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
Well, okay. Well, their picture was very, I don't know the word, artistic.
It made a good point. Yeah.
It made a good point. Yeah. And it could happen. I like it.
I think anytime in Dynasty when you have there's the group of players, right? There's the people that everyone is talking down. You know, there's going to be a couple of those players that if you're like, you know what, I like this player, everyone's off them. But whether it's Justin Fields, maybe it's Josh Jacobs, maybe it's David Montgomery. You hear a steady, just how we hear a steady drumbeat for positive news for players. We also hear a steady drumbeat. It's just that deeper, like more sinister. Boom, 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 boom. It's a more morose sounding drumbeat.
A haka drumbeat.
Yeah. You know, I think that is a great Dynasty strategy. Is like, all right, look at 7 or 8 players that everyone's down on, and maybe if you still like them, go out and throw in a low ball offer and see if you can get them, like a Treylon Burks or someone that's not flashing in camp. But if you like them as a player, because that's the kind of thing where it can pay off huge in a Dynasty format. All right, I'm going to give you, or no, we're off to James. James has another hot take.
I'm going to have one more. It's going to be a quick one. Okay. And it's not going to make a lot of sense right now.
Hopefully, it makes
is this an Evan Engram one?
No, we already did Evan Engram. I haven't talked about any rookies yet, so I'm going to talk about one rookie, and that rookie is Kenneth Walker.
Okay.
Now, we know his hernia situation. He's got a little banged up. Rashad Penny is Rashad Penny. Just this week, Rashad Penny hurt himself again in practice. It's only a matter of time before Ken Walker. Yeah, he stepped on the field. Shit. Oh, the blade of grass, it cut me. We know that Ken Walker is going to be the running back in this backfield. And I think early enough, he takes over, probably game 3. He takes over this backfield and he does not give it back. And for the rest of the season, the 16 games in this season that he will be the starter, he is going to supplant Ezekiel Elliott as the 3rd highest rookie rushing running back for over 1,600 yards.
Say 1,600 was Zeke.
1,631 yards. If he can do it, if he can run, 103 yards a game?
Well, he might miss a game, so
he's gonna. I said that the first 2. First 2, he's gonna have to make up for it. But I believe he can, and they have no other ways of stretching the field. We saw Geno Smith. It looked horrible. All right. They are going to stick to the run game and use that run game to open up play action to hit DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Poor DK. The fall from Graceland. But yeah. Kenneth Walker.
That is
all time.
So I do want to add, I was talking to a buddy and you know how they're like, it's a hernia, but it's not a hernia. You know how some people just want to keep something that's a little more private under wraps? What if in practice he got hit very hard and the man in the man parts, and maybe
he got scaped.
Yeah. Like
he escaped a serious injury.
His balls aren't thinking.
Like one had to go. Like that.
I mean, it'll lower his weight a little bit. He might be
pull that John Kruk
aerodynamic, but no, like because they're like it's not a hernia, but if it's close to it,
I mean, he's not Kenneth Walker anymore. He's Kenneth Runner.
There it is.
All right. I've got two more. I'll do them real quick. My last one, and then the other one's a super quick one that I just thought of kind of as well. So this one is Amon-Ra St. Brown gains the most startup value after the 2022 season out of the top 100 picks right now.
Again?
So I think Amon-Ra goes for easy 110 catches, 1,300 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And I think he could get very close to a wide receiver 1 in Dynasty startup.
Those are wide receiver 1 numbers.
Yeah, that's a wide receiver 1 if I ever heard.
But here's the thing, but people are still going to fade him because he got drafted in the 4th round, and people are still going to make excuses. I think this is one of those Dynasty players where you had to follow in the offseason that they were like, well, no Hawkinson, no Swift. Okay, well, Amon-Ra St. Brown did historic things in those 5 or 6 games at the end of the season for you. And guess what? He's really freaking good at football. And I think that as much as we want the offense to kind of TJ Hawkinson to be the motor of the offense, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown that is the motor of the offense. He's already got a really great rapport with Jared Goff. He's going to be a safety blanket. Amon-Ra can play inside. He can play outside. He's a great blocking receiver. He just does everything really, really well. And why he fell to the 4th round in last year's draft, who knows?
Stupid, and he went to UCLA. That's why.
USC
rather.
So, Amon-Ra, I think, is in line to have another really, really, really big season. And I think what that means is that Hawkinson is going to disappoint again. We all love the athleticism of TJ Hawkinson. I just think he's going to be a solid NFL player, but he's never going to reach that George Kittle. He's never going to reach that Darren Waller type of season. And we are going to see Amon-Ra St. Brown lead the way on that offense. And he's going to gain even more value in the offseason after he finishes with over 100, 1,300, and at least 10 touchdowns.
Ooh. You know who he is? He's Jarvis Landry. He's the reincarnation. Jarvis Landry was always underrated. People always were like, he's just a possession guy. That's all you can do. But he's always fringe wide receiver 1. Always.
Why can't Amon-Ra be a Steph Diggs?
I don't see why not.
I think Steph Diggs had more explosion,
a little bit more agility.
Remember, though, this is only Amon-Ra's rookie year.
Correct. Did you see on Hard Knocks at all? Have you guys been watching?
Him
and his brother working out.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. How they don't talk in the gym and all that. Yeah.
I mean, he's got one hell of a work ethic, if you ask me.
I did an article. I think it might have been for Nerds or somebody when Equinemius came out, and I talked about how the dad was, Mr. Universe. He's
John Brown.
Yeah, massive dude, and he's still got that worth ethic. So I love the hot take. That's spicy for me. So that is a very hot take.
And my last one,
I'll love it for all my shares if it happens.
A real quick one is that Christian Kirk finishes as a wide receiver 2 this year. He got paid big money.
Wide receiver 200? Is that what you said?
What? No, why he's going to finish as a top 24 wide receiver this year. He got paid big money. The role is there. The targets are there. I loved Laviska Shenault, but when he was active and Jamal Agnew was not active and Laviska was, I was trade Laviska. I'm on that. But I think Christian Kirk is going to, he can play all over the field, a lot like Amon-Ra. You can play him in the slot. You can play him outside. He makes big plays. I think he's going to be Trevor Lawrence's best friend, not Evan Engram. It's going to be Christian Kirk.
It's Evan Engram.
Finishing as a wide receiver 2 and living up to, or at least getting close to living up to that contract. I think that Kirk is talented, and him with Lawrence, Christian Kirk, a wide receiver 2. I don't know. That's not too spicy. I think Amon-Ra is a lot spicier, but I just thought of that one as we were going through is Christian Kirk doing things. Anybody got any last second ones before we wrap up?
I'm out. I'm out of gas.
I'm never gonna let James live it down with Evan Engram.
Oh, it's gonna be great if it happens. You guys will never doubt me.
Who scores more points, Dan Arnold or Evan Engram?
Dan Arnold.
Oh no,
Dan Arnold.
Waterbet that? You want to water
with one leg? No.
Yeah. All right.
Evan Ingram's got to have hands.
I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, and the utilization of the tight end position in Doug Peterson's offense is going to.
He's going to surprise you
turn
by
some
reminding
heads. And
you
Christian
that he's still
Kirk,
bad.
It was way overpaid. That was the dumbest.
Everybody knows that.
Dumbest.
Hey, but if he finishes as a wide receiver 2, then he gets close to enough.
I like it. Wide receiver 200 would have been a better hot.
All right, let's wrap this thing up and get out of here. Quick shout out to dynastynerds.com. Make sure you sign up for the Nerd Herd. Go over there. Use code DHH for 15% off of any subscription. You got trade tools. There's an extra Nerd Herd episode, prospect film room, prospect scores, Dynasty GM, and check out Viridian Global if you're looking for a new shirt, a hat, all the stuff. So we got Dynasty Nerds, code DHH. Viridian Global if you're looking for new gear. We've got Underdog, code DHH. They're going to match up to a $100. Trophy Smack, code DHH ring gets you a $60 ring. Look at all the cool stuff you get just from listening to this here podcast. And Manscaped, code DHH for 20% off at checkout, and you get this awesome bag with a ton of stuff. It is so worth the money, guys. I'm not joking. All the sex. And of course, Fantasy Points, code DHH22 to get 10% off your subscription. Guys, we just gave you all sorts of ways to save money. We gave you all sorts of fun takes. You know, we will do an accountability episode at the end of the season to see how we did, and then we can laugh heartily at James and his Evan Engram take. But until next time, for Doug, for James, for Tyler, this has been the Dynasty Happy Hour, and we will see you next week.